All right. So normally I do my little spiel, my introduction, but I'm not doing that today because this is for me. The great meeting is on right now. You know,
Ah,
so let's. I want to go into this. The Quran questions for Moorish Americans today. Thanks for the brother Cosmo L for coming out this evening. Mikey Fever is in the building
Salute,
today.
Cosmo. Peace.
peace
Now,
and love. Peace and love.
now, we were talking about pretty much making this as a series, right? We spoke about that over the phone, because we have a 101 question and answers. So me, because I'm like into like details, and I've heard so much in my travels with dealing with the movement, being a part of the movement almost 20 years now. I've heard like a lot, right? So I want to start off with the front cover, right? What is this border about? Is that just a design?
Mm.
Um, Islam again. I always have to say that you're gonna have varied degrees and layers. As far as the border, more I can't speak on that. I don't know of any special significance that it has. Um, However, there may be some. There's still much wisdom to be learned. There may be some science to that, but
Mhm.
I'm not gonna make nothing up.
Yeah. Can I
Right.
take a crack at that aesthetically? I put
Islam.
quote to that. It's like taking a rough stone somehow and chiseling away the fat, getting rid of the edges and rounding it about. But we'll just leave it at that.
Well, what I will say, when you look when you look at it, you're actually looking into something,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's a vision. You're actually looking into a scene.
Mhm.
So that's as far as I'll go with the border.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Now, the star in the crescent moon, and Islam underneath it. Now, the crescent itself, does it have anything to do with the fourth quarter?
hmm Islam. So if you notice, there's two crescents. There's one at the top, and under that it says Islam,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's one below it
And oh,
under the
right,
Quran.
right.
All right. So obviously, the one at the top represents Islam.
Mhm.
Islam is, among other things, which we'll get into that, based on universal law and principles. And so these symbols are symbols that you will see in the universe. You see the moon in the universe. You see the star in the universe. Uh, so suffice it to say, the first one, Islam or Islam, where the one below it, if you notice, is kind of pointing down and shining on the whole scene there.
Mhm.
And uh, traditionally, the moon, when you're looking at the phases of the moon, you have the waning crescent, right, which would be facing the other direction. Like you have the Nation of Islam, you'll see that it will face towards the left, where this particular crescent is facing towards the right,
Hey,
which
so that
means it's the new moon,
new moon.
right? It's the new hilal or the new crescent, because it's a
Mhm.
new era of time now,
Mhm.
right? Which the prophet says, this is a new era of time now. And all men must proclaim their free and national name to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. The
Mm-hmm.
the moon also represents the woman or the womb, the moon. Because if you didn't have the moon and the phases of the moon, you would be able to make a calendar based on the woman and her menstrual cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very closely related. And then you'll see inside the womb is the star.
Mhm.
The star represents the sun, because the sun
Mm-hmm.
is a star. And
Mhm.
so it also represents the SON, sun, son, which are related terms, and you see that it is shining light out of the womb. It's still in the womb,
Yep.
right? It haven't come out of the womb yet because it's in the beginning stage. So there's a part on the lesson on religion where it says the son is not Allah, though his noblest image,
Mm-hmm.
right? His noblest image. And we know that in chapter 47, it tells us that no one can change us from our descendant nature unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator Allah himself, and that we are made in the image and after the likeness, as we will see in the circle 7, in the image and after the likeness of the great God Allah. So that's what I can demonstrate on that.
Okay.
That was
So
deep.
now it's going to take some time for us to even get to the questions. All right.
Right?
So now, I mean, the questions and answers. So the great meeting is on. Okay. What meeting are we talking about?
The great meeting is on. This is the great, again, you're going to have varied degrees. But you have the coming together of the Asiatic nation, coming together of the 144,000 uniting of the Asiatics, the righteous people, this great meeting. And if you look into the word on, it has significance in ancient times, which related to the particular Mari priest, the priest of On, and which is also interchangeable with the term Om. Not saying that this is what the prophet intended. This is just observation. So the great meeting is the meeting. What I do know, if you look to the left of it, you'll see the hand clasp of unity, and under it, it says Asia. And so this great meeting refers to the uniting of the Asiatics, people of the planet.
Right.
Also, you'll see that the great meeting is in between Islam and Asia.
Mm-hmm.
So again, the prophet said he connected the wires. So he connected the Asiatics of North America back to Islam.
Right. Indeed. Now, the clasp, right? So now, in masonry, they have different grips. Now,
Uh-huh.
in the Moorish movement, there's a particular grip, right, where the thumb goes here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Uh-huh.
is that a connection to the heart, like the meridian that goes to the heart?
Imprint.
Islam.
Islam.
It is a connection to the heart. A lot of people look at this particular, what you're dealing with is a particular class. Not everybody knows that class, but since you mentioned it, then I'm going to go ahead and speak on it. When you press that, you can actually feel the nerve that connects to the heart. Also, some like to say, well, hey, this is a Freemasonic type of class. But if anybody who knows anything about Freemasonry knows that the class would be different. It would be going across on the knuckles, representing the first degree, third degree, second degree of the Master Mason. So again, this does relate to the heart. This does relate to love. It also does, in a sense, relate to acupressure and the increasing of the circulation to obviously the heart and the areas that need the blood. So,
Right. All right. Now, Quran questions for Moorish Americans. That's kind of like, self-explanatory. You already explained the second moon. Now, Noble Drew Ali, he is standing in front of a body of water. He's holding a woman up. On her body, it says humanity. And then the water, a body of water has the cares of the world on it. And underneath the prophet says salvation. So he has like one foot kind of just coming out of the water to save the woman, which is humanity. So if you could explain that description or depiction, you know, you could take it away at that point.
Mm-hmm. Islam. So, even before we get to that, just because you mentioned Quran question for Moorish Americans, it is important to expound upon what the Quran is. And we're talking about the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, not the Holy Quran of Mecca. The Quran is a divinely prepared pamphlet. It is not meant to replace revelation of the Holy Quran. We have that as our the Word of God. However, this was a divinely prepared pamphlet by the noble prophet to help reconnect us with much of the religious teachings and historic teachings that we had lost during the advent of slavery. And these questions are a synopsis, so to speak, these questions and answers. Again, we talked about when someone comes into the United States to proclaim, or the United States of America to become a citizen, there's 100-question test that one must take. And if you don't pass this 100-question test, then you cannot be a citizen. And you can be a citizen only after you pass this test. And so the prophet brought not 100, but 101 questions. And these are for Moorish Americans. These are for those who want to know a little. Within the questions are some theology, some ideology, some history, some mysticism, and to basically get us acquainted, reacquainted with the overall concepts of our nation and what we're getting into. So this is similar to that test. For one to truly understand what they're involved in, then they must master these questions in order to become a Moorish American, or knowledgeable Moorish American, I should say. So now, the Prophet Noble Ali, stepping out of the water, and on the water you'll see it's written, the cares of the world,
Mm-hmm.
the cares of the world, stepping out of the vast sea of the cares of the world. The cares of the world are also known as the common walks of life. The sea always represents society, right? Where, for example, you have you have, how can I say it, tumultuous waves in the ocean, or the
Mhm.
ocean can be at peace. Society sometimes has tumultuous waves, and society can also be at peace. So that represents the greater society, the cares of the world, being just the basic food, clothing, shelter, the rat race that mostly everyone is tied into. You'll see the Prophet Noble Ali stepping out, and if you look at his foot, the back foot, you'll see it's actually out of the water. It's not still in the water, it's out of the water, but he's in motion. He's in motion, and he has one foot, the right foot, stepping onto the land, and on it is written salvation. Uh, Now, you have those that will give you a law interpretation and saying, admiralty, law, water, so on and so forth. Um, but what I will tell you is there's a lesson in the Circle 7, chapter 7, where Jesus speaks to Lamas and he says, of understanding, what have you to say? And it says that it is let me go ahead and just quote it exactly, but basically the rock of salvation. Understanding, what did I say? It is the rock on which man builds himself. It is the gnosis of art and of naught, of falsehood and truth. It is the knowledge of the lower self and the sensing of the powers of man himself. So this rock of salvation is also um, symbolizing understanding. And our salvation is in understanding what the prophet brought. The right foot, right in Islam and in Eastern cultures, always symbolizing that which is good, Even to this day, if you play someone to the left, right, that means you're doing them dirty or you're doing something wrong. So he's stepping out with the right foot because he's righteous. It says Prophet Nobuju Ali, but in his arms he's holding a woman, and the woman is in a unconscious state, and written on the woman is humanity. So
Mhm.
we know that the woman is symbolic of humanity. The prophet's goal is to pull, you see, she's dripping, to pull humanity out of the cares of the world onto the rock of salvation, which
Yep.
is the true understanding of why we exist. We don't exist on this plane to be caught up in the cares of the world. It's a consequence of being on this plane, and we have to deal with those things, but it's not our main purpose. And so she's still unconscious at this particular point in time. And also, if you look a little bit closer to the woman, you'll notice that she has, or potentially has, a little baby bump. So there is actually
Mm.
potentially a child in the womb. And as the prophet has said, that this message is for the unborn, and that, those generations, 3 generations removed, will be the ones who understand what it is that he brought. So these are some of the symbolisms that you can draw from the very front cover.
Can I summarize something? This sounds similar to Farrakhan's statement when he says, "No nation will rise higher than its woman," because she's the first
Indeed.
teacher.
Indeed.
Or
And
yeah.
this is exactly the sentiment. In order to save humanity, you have to save the woman. Now, we are humanity. We are the first. We are the root. We are the beginning of all of humanity, and every other nationality comes from us. That is a part of humanity, comes from us. And so, in order to get humanity straight, we have to get our woman straight out of the realm of unconsciousness, being caught up in the cares of the world, which means that we have to take on the responsibility of a lot of those cares, so that she doesn't drown in it, and that she doesn't have to be in it alone, and taking on these things. And as you know, in our community, not as much as they portray it, but you'll see a lot of single mothers taking on all the responsibilities of the cares of the world. And the prophet made it a point to speak upon the family structure in Act 7 of our divine constitution and bylaws, and to promote that family structure: husband, wife, and children.
Mm. All right. All right. Hold on. This will be capped soon. Yeah, I see it. Yep, I got you. All right. So now so we went over that. It was 48 inches Mount Clements. Uh what is this? What is this? MI? Is that Michigan? This part at the bottom. Does that have any significance?
What was that? Was that a question somebody said
Yeah,
or asked?
the question was 48 inches Mount Clemens. MI price 50 cents. Is there any significance to that part?
Islam, you would have to ask that brother. That's a drawing that he's coming with. I don't I'm not aware of that particular science.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
so
Yeah,
I
sometimes
speak on
sometimes
speak
people just
only
make
what
stuff up.
only what I know. These are signs and symbols, and so signs and symbols are things that can be interpreted, and depending on the different grand sheiks that you're going to be dealing with, everyone has their portion. There's going to be different drawings, so I don't discount it if it's something that I haven't heard. Uh, that's for whoever knows that drawing.
All right. I like how you answer that. That's peace. Now, the Moorish American prayer, right? Allah the Father, Allah the Father of the universe, the Father of love, true peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet, Noble Ali. Amen. Now, from what I've learned through the brother Sharif and Anil Bey, was that this prayer was more of an affirmation. as opposed to like asking for anything.
Mm,
It was like more of like a command.
like mantra.
Yeah.
Mm,
Islam.
mm,
I mean, I would agree with that. Because it's saying, it's telling you Allah is defining Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my God, and my salvation by night and by day through his holy prophet Noble Jew Ali.
Mhm.
So it doesn't appear to be asking anything. However, it is reinforcing these concepts. Also, when the prayer is recited, it's uh, usually done in a call and response fashion. And the call and response is an ancient tradition amongst the Asiatics. And it basically raises the ethers and opens up the ethers before every meeting with a certain tone and a certain frequency and vibration as we go into the meeting. So uh, this is also the purpose of this prayer, to raise the tone and to raise the vibration going into the meeting itself.
Got you. Got you. Mike Taylor, this is a Moorish build right now. Uh, when we have the Nation of Islam, we could build on the Nation of Islam. Right now, we're building on the Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish Science Temple of America. So now I want to go into the Quran question. Okay, now these three symbols right here, yin and yang. That's what it looks like to me.
Where are you at? Oh
Right here,
yeah, Islam.
Islam.
Islam. Yes, indeed. I mean, again, the things can be interpreted. There's three symbols, and we know what that means, right? Knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Islam,
Islam.
and this is reinforced also. However, there's also another level to that. Wherever you see the three in more science, it represents certain things: salvation, Allah, unity, wisdom, will, love. There's a lot of tiers when it comes to the three. There's also the three-step ladder, and there's two three-step ladders: belief, faith, hope, and love. Belief, faith, and fruition. So again, there's layers to this. There's layers to this. That's all I can say.
Gotcha. Check. Okay, Quran questions for Moorish Americans. Okay, question and answer number one: who made you? Allah. Okay, and then number two is who is Allah? Allah is the Father of the universe. Three: can we see Him? No. Four: where's the nearest place we can meet Him? In the heart. So, what does that mean exactly, right? Because number four says, where can we meet Allah, basically, right? Or that's exactly what it said. We can meet Allah within the heart. What does that mean to you?
I'm sorry if there's some noise in the background. Sound like somebody's doing some work over there. Before we get to the question, I do want to point out Quran questions for Moorish children.
Moorish children, right?
Moorish children. And so these are the questions that are taught in the Sunday school to the children. But it's also known in the Moorish Science Temple of America that once we come into this science, we're all children in this science. We're all new to this. It doesn't matter if you have a PhD. It doesn't matter if you're coming from the prison bowels. It doesn't matter if you're a genius or an inventor. You're new to this. You don't know this. So you have to push that ego aside of whatever accolades and achievements that you've achieved in the prior society, and come humble as a child to be able to truly understand these things. Otherwise, those accolades and those achievements will stand in your way of truly understanding what this is. Islam.
Islam. Islam. All right.
You don't have to
peace.
get rid of it. You just have to push it aside to learn something new. And that's what sometimes people, I've had, when we had the temple in Oakland, I had a lot of, well, I won't say a lot, but several brothers and sisters come into the temple, some from the 5%, some from the Nation of Islam, some from, Black Power. And when it come time to building on these questions, because they don't know it, they revert back to the degrees that they know. And some of those degrees do align. Some of these degrees don't align. And so you have to be careful about trying to correlate things until you get a firm understanding. So to the questions, who made you? Allah.
Mm-hmm.
That question is very significant because a lot of people have various understandings of who or what Allah is.
Mhm.
So who is Allah is something that needs to be asked. In the 5% community, and even now since the advent of hip hop and other consciousness, you have a lot of people say Allah is arm, leg, arm, hand. And this is what Allah means. We have to understand, and I'll get back to the arm, leg, arm, head. This is an Arabic word. It's not an English word. It's an Arabic word that have made its way into English with a transliteration. A transliteration means that it is carries the phonics of the language that it comes from into the new language. So though Allah is an Arabic word, it's not translated. To translate it would be to tell you what it means. It's on the transliteration is only bringing those phonics, keeping the same phonics. Now the translation of Allah is the definition and the meaning. So in order to understand the word, since it is an Arabic word that made its way into English by way of a transliteration, we have to understand what it means in Arabic. And in Arabic, it's a combination of two words, al and illah. Illah meaning God in the sense as best as I can make it plain in English, and al being the definite article meaning the. So Allah in a rough translation would mean the God. All right. Allah in English through the transliteration just means God. When you see someone translate Allah, it said Allah is God, but that's not what it means in the language that it comes from. It means the God. And then it further explains it. Who is Allah? Allah is the Father of the universe. So when we say the God or Allah, we're talking about the Father of the universe. Now, universes are not generally born through sex. So we know that father does not mean a physical father, as if a father of a child. It means creator. It means sustainer, which a father is a sustainer. It means protector, which a father is a protector. So we're dealing with the attributes of the Father and Allah's relationship to the universe. So it says, can we see him? No, because Allah is a spirit, right? And someone say, "Uh-oh, we're dealing with the spook God now." Well, guess what? Guess what? I can't see you right. You can't see you right now. You're not the body nor the soul. You are what's you that is operating this avatar. And when you're gone, it's apparent that you're gone.
Exactly.
Right? I can't see you. I don't know the true you. I can only see you based on your actions. Then I get to know the real you. Then I get to know your personality. If I just look at you, I don't know nothing about you because that's not you. You are your personality. You are how you act. You are how you behave. And that I can only see through manifested action. So Allah, you cannot see Allah with your physical eyes. You can only see Allah through what he have manifested. And that's the universe. The universe means all things, everything that's around us. Now, some may say, well, I'm the God of the universe. All right. Well, if so, I'll put a challenge to you. My Allah is the Allah that causes the sun to rise in the east every day. Make it rise in the west.
Well,
Now we know that the
they're
sun,
both one and the same
we
though.
know the sun, we know the sun don't really rise, right? That it's the earth rotating towards the sun that makes it appear to rise. But what I'm saying is, I'm making a distinction between the Allah of the universe and the Allah, God in English, the definition
Oh,
of
okay.
the two things, right? Because one is the God, the great God, dealing with a specific thing, but Allah has its meaning in English as God, which is how it's mostly used as just a generic term for God. Now, back to the arm, leg, arm, head. Where is the nearest place to meet him? In the heart. Obviously not the physical heart, right? See, we're not dealing with physical concepts here, because spiritual concepts, you can't contain them in physical. We're talking about spiritual heart, the heart of your personality, the heart that makes you give charity to someone in the dust, the heart that makes you take care of your loved ones, the heart that makes you feel for another person when you see them in pain, even feel for an animal. When you feel these things and you feel these connections, you feel in Allah. You feel in Allah of the small, still voice that speaks, and that through this uh, these emanations, we are able to get a better understanding of the Allah within us, which is what arm, leg, arm, head is to teach. It's not that the physical arm, leg, arm, head, no more than it's in the physical heart, but it's an acronym created to teach us how close Allah is to us if we manifest the character and attributes of Allah through our limbs. So, and this is just on the first question, because English is a very dangerous language to really try to explain spiritual concepts in, concepts beyond materialism and commerce. So therefore, we have to go into the esoteric understanding and meaning of things to really get an understanding. And I think that's missed a lot, whether you be from the nation, whether you be from the 5%, whether you be from the Moors. These things get missed, and is why you have people acting in particular ways. I seen a post where you had, this is where you were back then. You was God, and you had the cigarette and the drink, and you could do anything. This is what leads to those kind of actions, that I'm God, I can do anything I want. And it's not. No, that's a gross misunderstanding of this science. It's as a gross misunderstanding as it is to think that we meet Allah in the physical heart, or that Allah is physically our arm, leg, arm, head. These are teachings designed to teach us about something immaterial that we're connected to. Islam.
Can I say something? Hearing you speak and other brothers speak from the
Mike,
Moorish side.
real quick, Mike, can you turn your mic down?
Oh, my bad. I'm hurting your ears. How about now?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Now, to say, hearing you speak and how you break it down, listening to both lessons of the Moorish Science Temple and 5% teachings, even the Nation of Islam, if applied correctly and really like do your studies diligently, those studies could really break down barriers where you could just move in between each school of thought with respect. But it's the same thing with different language. But these lessons allow you to build on many things. Like they're not limited. Believe it or not, they go from the physical to the spiritual and to the conscious. Like it's very deep, man. Just listening to you guys talk about it, I'm like, wow.
Well, let me just tell you my experience. Me personally, I'm really embodying the teachings, all of the teachings. Like right now, this is all I'm studying right now. Like I'm not even like I've made it a habit, like a daily habit, to the point where now I don't want to even see or look at anything else, and it's like doing something to my brain waves. I think, like, it's giving me a better level of concentration and a better sense of peace and happiness, and love. Like, I'm actually learning how to love, like
Mm,
like learning how to love instead of hate. I'm
yeah,
looking at that. I've been looking at that for years, and now this day I'm, looking at it like, wait a minute.
yeah.
I'm actually learning how to love right now, because
Mhm.
I thought I knew how to love,
Mm.
but when I'm like doing the knowledge to my ways and actions and how I'm dealing with people and things, and I'm like, no, that's another version of love that maybe not be love. So I'm actually
Mhm.
learning how to love right now by having a better
Mm.
sense of peace and being more grounded, through the teaching. So, I just wanted to put that out there.
That's deep. And you know what's so dope about it? Those who really do the studies are not
Islam,
without
this
the
is
fluff, are not
called
online doing the craziness.
Islam. This is called resurrection
Hmm.
because it's you're coming into another level of consciousness, and resurrection is coming into another level of consciousness, being raised from, uh, in a sense, a dead level. When you're unconscious, you don't know.
Mhm.
Unconsciousness is not knowing, and so you're dead to those concepts, you know. But when your eyes begin to be open and when you begin to start demonstrating them, we say when the will of Allah and man are one, resurrection is a fact. So whether there's a physical resurrection or not, a lot of people looking for the physical resurrection, but you can be resurrected right here from the dead level of unconsciousness to certain concepts into that consciousness. It's like, for an example, when you're asleep. When you sleep, you're generally unconscious. You might be dreaming. You're still kind of unconscious. But when you become conscious of the fact that you're dreaming, you're no longer unconscious,
Right. Right.
because you can't be conscious and unconscious at the same time. So it's a really deep thing, that and there's much wisdom to be learned, period, no matter what we know, because it's an everlasting gospel. It's ever expanding, so we're always coming in and being resurrected into new concepts and new knowledge of ourselves.
Right. Now, I just want to say this, not to make it like I'm in church, like, yeah, the Lord saved me. not to make it not to make it like that. However, I'm just, as I'm reading a 101, you know, trying to basically cap everything. What stood out to me, right, was that the higher self, right, 70, right? The higher self is the mother of all virtues, the mother of virtues and the harmonies of life, and breeds justice, mercy, love, and right. Right? That's the higher self, right? And then when I go to the lower self, what does the lower self breed? Hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. Now, I'm going to skip past that, right? And I want to go back to the lower self, 75. What was the answer that the lower self gave to the higher self? I am going to and fro the earth, seeking whom I may devour. Now, that was so, it opened me up at that point, because that's how I was kind of like moving around in my mind. I didn't realize I was in the lower self for a long period of time. Like, I was kind of like in and out. I didn't realize that I was really dealing with the ego heavily. You know what I'm saying? And going to and fro, seeking who I can devour. Like, it was like that's how I was moving around, because I was like always competitive. I wanted to crush him. I want to crush this person. I was in the lower self, and I didn't realize that I was in the lower self for a long time, and I was kind of like tricking myself or so. I don't know. You know, I didn't realize what I was doing. But anyway, you know,
Welcome
that
welcome,
Islam, some
Ron.
people never
Come
realize
along.
they're in the lower self. And if you look at 70,
Mhm.
what is the higher self? That's a circle 7, right?
Mhm,
Right? You got the circle and you got the 7 right there.
mhm,
And so, you know, that's what the circle 7 is. The higher self teachings. The circle 7 will represent perfected man, and that's man in alignment with Allah. That's man in alignment with the Allah inside. And this is a secret that is only taught in sacred orders that the prophet teach publicly, that we have more than one self, that we have a higher self and a lower self, because the common people think, oh, accept me as I am. That's just me. Accept me as I am. No, but the adept doesn't even accept himself or herself as they are, because we know that there's always constant refinement and
mm,
refining that we can do to try to align ourselves, which is our business, to align ourselves with our higher selves. So this knowledge was something that was kept from us, just that alone, the higher self and the lower self. And it just showed you the gravity of what Prophet Noble Ali brought, because once you know that you have a higher self and a lower self, once you know it, now you can see your lower self working, and you can see your higher self working, and you can make a choice. Which one do I want to be?
mhm.
That's a
Yeah,
fact.
yeah,
The
indeed.
lower self is just in the comment section. That's
I
the
don't
lower
even,
self
I
right
don't
there.
even want to. I don't even really want to
I
address
know.
it. Just to let you know, anybody who comes on the comments to do all that, well, they're gonna get blocked and banned. Like you're not gonna
That's
be able
it.
to. That's the end of your. You can't even if you could look or whatever, but you can't comment. So
But
you
that's what I
know,
want to put out there, because you got a lot of idiots out there that seek attention, lower self, lower than scum, how they function. This is true. Like, it's weirdos.
Yeah,
Go ahead. My bad,
yeah.
bro.
So
comes with the territory, family. That's without a foe to fight, a soldier never knows his strength. So the lower self is gonna be there, and but
exactly. I'm going to and fro the earth, seeking whom I can devour.
Islam.
So that was peace. So now I want to. Now we went through. I know I was kind of jumping all over the place. Pardon me. So we went from the nearest place, see him. Okay, and we went to the heart. That heart was a great explanation. Now through that in 70 and on in a 101, I know the difference. The higher self and the lower self is much more. I understand it much more after your explanation. So, who is Noble Drew Ali? He is Allah's prophet. Okay, number 5. So, if you want to, break that down, you can.
Islam, I think that's pretty
Straightforward.
self-explanatory there. I think the next question goes into it a little bit more.
Okay, what is a prophet? A prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in flesh. Okay, wouldn't you say? I would say, from from how I see it, I would say all things would be thoughts of Allah manifested in flesh.
I'm sorry, can you say that again? You were breaking up a little bit when that happened.
I said from how I see it, all things would be a thought of Allah manifested in flesh. The material world.
Islam. Yes, well, the purpose of this question and answer is, if you look at the next one, what is the duty of a prophet? To save nations from the wrath of Allah. So this is a particular thought of Allah
Okay.
manifested in the flesh, with a particular duty different from some other thoughts. It tells us in chapter 1 that man is a thought of Allah. So we know that the thoughts of Allah are infinite, cannot be circumscribed, right?
Mhm.
They're the everlasting past unto the never-ending days to come. However, this thought of Allah is it charged with a particular duty, and that is to save nations from the wrath of Allah. So he's been given this particular thought is that thought of Allah, one that gives nations an opportunity to turn away from that which every other nation that is destroyed has fallen victim to, including our nation. If you think about it, we say we give honor to the honorable, credit to the credible, salvation to the salvageable. Moorish Americans are a salvaged nation. We were salvaged. We were saved because we could have went the same way of other nations that are no longer here, that were destroyed because of their actions. But we were the mercy of the Most High. We were sent to profit. And so we have an opportunity now to uh, uh, salvage ourselves from the destruction that we were subjected to. And so this particular thought of Allah was sent to us to give us an opportunity to save our nation from total and utter destruction of knowledge of self and just going into, just becoming something that we were not.
Check,
That's
check,
dope right
check.
there.
All right. Okay. Who is the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America? Noble Drew Ali. What year was an what year what year was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded? 1913 AD.
Mhm.
AD. I learned that AD in another temple means after denomination.
Well, I mean, traditionally, AD, there's I can't remember the actual Greek or Latin term, but it
Mhm.
represents, in English, is after the death, basically. When you see
Okay.
AD, this is
Mhm.
after the death of uh, those who they call Christ, which was about 2,000 years ago, which is when their calendar started, which is why we're in the year 2025, because they start the calendar after the death of Christ. Muslims start the calendar after Hijra. So in Islam, that there's actually another date. We're in the 1400s, and the Hebrews have a calendar which goes back, I believe, about 3,000 years. So
Mhm.
uh, just from, there may be some other meaning to that. Again, that would be a draw that they would have to demonstrate on, but just in the general sense, that's generally what it means.
Okay. All right. Now then it goes into where? Newark, New Jersey. Um and it says where was Noble Drew Ali born in the state of North Carolina 1886. What is his nationality? Moorish. Now, Moorish hyphen American. What's the importance of putting a hyphen between the Moorish and the American?
All right, but before I get to that, when we look at question 10, it says where? Newark. Some say NJ, some say New Jersey. I'm not going to get into the difference between the NJ and the New Jersey. However, why Newark? Why in New Jersey? When we look historically there, we'll see that uh, this was a part of the Moorish empire on these shores. uh, New Jersey, Newark, and what is the Delmarva Peninsula. If you look into that, you'll see that this was an area that was inhabited by a group of Native Americans that they call today Lenape. However, when you read the Delaware Code, it tells you in the Delaware Code that the Lenape were formerly known as Moors. And to this day, the tribe of Moors exists in the CDC hierarchical code under 1237-7 with all the rest of the indigenous tribes there. So when the prophet founded the temple in this Moorish territory, which was historically known to be Moors, he was actually had a Moorish audience and was actually talking to people who knew they were Moors.
Hmm.
You know, there were obviously those who didn't know that they were Moors, because he's talking to the so-called Negroes, blacks, and colors to try to get them to know they're Moors. But this was a Moorish, there was a Moorish school there. The people there had M on their IDs for instead of B for black. And so this was a place of choice, and it is connected with all of that rich Moorish history of the Moors upon these shores, which in fact the first treaty of 1682, the Treaty of Shakamaxim with Tamanin under the treaty, is the first Moorish treaty, even before the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. So
Hmm.
that was in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, which is all a part of the territory connected with New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, because you have the Delaware Moors as well, right, in Delaware. So this was it's just interesting to note, and a lot of people may not know that as he was speaking about Moors, there were actually people there who knew that they were Moors. It wasn't just something that was happening in a vacuum. Um, in relationship to Moorish American and the hyphen, I think we went over this in another podcast. If we go to the next question, it says, why are we Moorish Americans? Because we are descendants of Moroccans and born in America. Now, we know that these Moroccans are not the modern day Moroccans, because this is 1913 AD, and the modern Morocco state didn't get its independence until 1956. So we're not talking about the state or nation state of Morocco, the modern one. We're dealing with ancient Moroccans. And when you go back in history, you'll see that the ancient inhabitants of that land in Morocco back then were known as Moors. So we're descendants of these people and born in America. So within Moorish American, and the prophet has given it to us in number 14, you have two very extremely important concepts related to nationality and or citizenship. One being jus sanguinis, which is nationality by bloodline, and then you have jus sali, which is by the soil. And so within Moorish American, you have both the jus sanguinis, which is the bloodline, which is the Moorish, and then you have the soil, America, because when because of the birth ties and the birthrights to the land. So this is why it's put together, and this is why it's important that we Moorish Americans, because we have birthrights in this land. Moors built this country. Moors are still are some of the main inventors of. We just don't hold the patents. You know, due to slavery, we didn't hold the patents, but we're building, and we're inventing everything, or many things, and we have blood ties to the land even before the advent of slavery, where they say we all came across on ships. So very important concept, and it just shows you how knowledgeable Prophet Noble Jew Ali was, and that he didn't just whip this up in his closet and come out and say, hey, this is what we're going to do.
Hmm. I'm curious to know, where did these brothers get this information from? Like, this is like, yeah, I'm talking about Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Farad Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad, Allah.
Yep.
Where did they get this? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to figure that
Yeah.
out. There we go. GS Kurt Douglas L is in the building. What's going on? GS, how you doing, brother? Nice to see you on the check-in. Nice to see you on the check-in, brother.
Yeah, that's a
Man.
good question right there. Where did they get the teachings from? Where they got
Yeah.
the information is deep.
Islam, well, the prophet said he was divinely prepared by Allah. You have to realize this is 40 some years after 1865, when so-called black people, I believe 40 some years after so-called black people were supposed to be emancipated. This knowledge was not given to us. We weren't set loose and someone came and said, hey, here's all this information for you all now. Allah sent us somebody, and it may be because we're shell shocked in religion and spirituality the way it was given to us, or the way it was brought to us by Western society, that it's hard for us to believe that Allah sent us somebody to return the knowledge of self to us out of His mercy, because Allah was just. And so, however, some divine intervention, which the Prophet Noble Drew Ali says Allah divinely prepared him, provided this knowledge to him to give to us, and He did it, and a lot more than that. We have, and when you go to other nations and countries, you have sages, you have gurus, you have spiritual leaders, and if you yourself go deep enough, I don't know if you ever wrote rhymes or was into hip hop or anything like that. If you ever freestyle before, if you freestyle good enough, that some come over you, and it's not even you no more. You're channeling. And so the Prophet was channeling this information. He was channeling it, just like anybody can channel. If we go high enough, if we go inside enough, we can channel these degrees.
Yeah.
Mike Taylor, I don't know about that, brother. I don't know about that, brother.
What he said?
It could possibly be the other way around, brother. It could possibly be the other way around. I wasn't around to know that for actual fact, but I know this for a fact. Noble Drew Ali was the first one to bring Islam to America. That from my understanding. Anybody else know anyone else before Noble Drew Ali bringing Islam to North America?
I heard different stories from different accounts. I heard it was a Hindu Indian that bought it to Master Farad, and from so many different accounts. Again, I wasn't there, so I don't want no zealots. I don't want these zealots to come at me.
They gonna always come.
Yeah,
zealots, they like to fight.
Yeah, man. I'm like, go read a book, man.
If I may, the Prophet didn't just bring Islam. I mean, our forefathers had Islam. You had various so-called slaves who wore fezzes, spoke Arabic. There's a great book that deals with the jihads of the plantation. And so there were groups of Moors already here who had knowledge of who they were. What the Prophet did was, and knowledge of Islam, what he did was establish it. So there's a difference to have it and know it, and to establish it. And by the time we get to the back of these 101s, ones will understand what I mean by establishing it. See, because what he did was, he didn't just teach Islam, he created a government, a jural society to exercise self-governance for our people under Islam, while teaching our people who they were at the same time. So that, again, it's back to saving our nation. We have a nation. Well, what laws are you going to govern under? And the Prophet brought and established the nation, and he established the divine laws for us to demonstrate under. And there was nobody who did that before him. You won't find anybody in history. A lot of people did it after him. And when you look at other nationalities, you'll find these figures, these lawgivers, these governors, these sages, these holy men that do the same thing. And many of them are remembered with great reverence. It's only due to the self-hate and the mental slavery of our people that Prophet Noble Drew Ali doesn't get the reverence that he should get. Any other nationality had a man like Noble Drew Ali come and bring the knowledge to them that what they have, their whole nation start based on that. Look at the Prophet. The Prophet Muhammad brought it, and the Hijra calendar starts with him. Jesus brought it, and a calendar start with him. You know, you go to Iran, Pakistan, Egypt, Africa. There's all type of people, these figures that are revered and that have raised up people out of the dust into an organized nation and a state. But when the Prophet does it, because we still suffering from Willie Lynch, we want to argue about, well, maybe it was somebody else, or maybe this or maybe that. We just need to give honor and credit for what he did. It doesn't take away from what anyone else did or how anybody else built upon it. But we have to give honor And see, this goes back to why it says we're in slavery, because we honored not the creed and principles of our forefathers. Our forefathers come and bring something grandiose that half the people criticizing can't even measure up to a tenth of it, but yet we don't honor it. We throw it in the trash. Well, those of us who do honor it are getting great benefit and great freedom and help from it. So, we just need to learn how to honor our forefathers and instead of hating our forefathers, because that's what everybody else teaches us to do. We want that, to hate Martin Luther King, to hate Malcolm X, to hate Marcus Garvey, to hate Noble Drew Ali, to hate Elijah Muhammad. Well, if we hate all our leaders, then who we gonna be following? Their leaders.
For real.
Mhm.
On that note, man, I know someone in the chat said we need these bills to be 2 hours. That's actually a good idea. We'll build with the brother Cosmo L on that offline. But we would like to close out. Thank you, brother Cosmo L. I really appreciate you. We're going to continue this series on the Koran questions for Moorish Americans. Thanks for everyone who thanks to everyone who were on the chat this evening,
Yeah,
even the crazy zealots and all of that stuff in their lower self. Peace to y'all. Peace to y'all. And on that note, we're out of here. Thank you, GS. Thank you, Mikey Fever. And we out. Peace. Islam.